Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we decided to make this episode a drinking game.
Drinking game!
Pop that.
So anytime we make a negative comment, either about this film or about each other, or maybe even about ourselves, you're going to hear this sound. That sound means we're drinking, people, and we hope you kick back and relax and drink along with us as we review this film.
So, pour yourselves a glass and let's get on back to the 70s.
Back to the 70s.
I've got the small glass tonight. I like to have a glass that's proportionate to the budget of the film we're watching.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
This film's probably a bigger budget than he's used to having, but or maybe it's just marketing.
I mean,
maybe
it is an indie, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We're talking about Licorice Pizza, people. As always, if you're new to this podcast or not, this is going to be spoiler-free for at least 10 minutes. There's not really much to spoil in this film, but just if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want us to ruin it, don't worry. That's kind of all with this film. If you've ever seen films, it's really hard to spoil any of them, but we're going to try to stay spoiler-free so you can get our initial takeaways, our reactions, our feelings, as opposed to our heady, did this work for you stuff. We'll save that for the end. That's it. John, you want to go ahead and shout our people out?
Our people, his name is Carlos Barroso. He is the beer sponsor for the Love of Cinema podcast. You can give him a follow on Instagram if you are so inclined. The handle is Cbarroso Bar 2019. That is CBARROZOBAR 2019. And if you're digging this music, it's at the beginning and end of every single episode of our podcast. Is provided by the artist Dasein. That's Dasein, Dasein. Head on over to soundcloud.com/Dasein-artist, and you can download all that motherfucking music for free. You guys,
all that motherfucking music.
All that motherfucking music for free. Do you guys want to make fun of my hard seltzer that I know you can't make? I forgot to pick up beer.
It literally just got blurred out. It literally got blurred out as if we. Did you see that? No, I'm serious. The label just got blurred out. Oh my god!
Totally
it did it again.
Censored.
What am I, a filmmaker? Am I blurring out brand names?
Yeah, right.
Wait, is Zoom blurring out brands?
He's got the student film filter on.
Funny, dude. That is hilarious.
Did you notice that? I have no idea. I have no idea what it says.
See it at all.
That is so crazy. Sorry to anybody for sitting there going, wait a second, I thought this was an audio podcast.
What are they talking about?
You can find it on YouTube as well, just in case you're curious about why that happened.
You can find us on YouTube. But I want to say one thing before we talk about Licorice Pizza. Do you know when the worst time to tell people why they love going to the movies is?
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
25 fucking minutes into previews for a movie where I'm at AMC seeing this beautiful film in limited release. So I'm one of the lucky ones. This film, Dave was at my screening. It was so big that we didn't even see each other. That's how fucking packed this theater was. Sorry, COVID. I just got my booster. Everybody was there. We're so excited. Limited release. We feel so lucky. 70 millimeter. And then we watch 25 minutes of fucking previews. and then AMC goes, this is why we love coming to the movies. And we're like, we know why we're coming to the fucking. Did you notice that everybody here also had the same reaction?
The people behind me were giving Nicole Kidman so much shit and throwing shade like crazy. We're all sick of seeing it. Yeah. We're there. You've won us over. Put that out on TV.
I'm already there.
It really is getting. Let's just drop it. I mean, it's got to stop. It was over a couple months ago. It totally made sense to me when they reopened the theaters. We got to stop it. It's out of control. AMC, if you're listening, you know what?
That's all. We're all drinking. I'll drink on behalf of AMC.
I mean, come on. Everyone feels the same way.
If I'm Nicole Kidman, I want that out. I mean, this could be Michael Jordan. It could be the Dalai fucking Lama. And at this point, if I had seen this as many times with them, I'd still be cursing him off the screen. I can't take it anymore.
Everyone's going insane.
Also,
can we just say what the fuck is up with the trailers?
But also, I know like she's like been nominated for a lot of Oscars and stuff, but really, Nicole Kidman was the most current celebrity you could get.
She won one. She does have a win.
Dave, don't you talk shit about your countrymen. You know what? I'm kidding. That's for Australia, right there, bitch.
Yeah, that is for Australia. John, do you have something to say about the trailers before we finally get into
Licorice Pizza? I was also just going to say, guys, do they just, like, every 5 years, do they add another trailer? Because I feel like I'm having, like, deja vu to maybe 10 years ago when we were like, when did the trailers get 15 or 20 minutes long? Now it's at least 25 minutes of trailers.
It's 30 on the dot. It's 30 minutes on the dot.
It's exactly 30 now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's more than what it was, right?
Is 30 minutes.
I mean, I talked about this in my Halloween one where my city bike didn't work and I was so late and I still got there on time. I literally didn't have transportation to get to the theater. I felt like I was running, like in Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza, where the characters are running towards each other.
There's just a little bit of running in this movie.
Ooh, a little bit of running. Forrest Gump is the only movie that has more running.
Yeah, that's right.
Jerry Maguire.
Will Smith versus Tom Cruise. Who runs more? Yeah. Okay, we're gonna get into Licorice Pizza. Let's get into it now. You know how we feel about the trailers. Let's do it. All AMC needs to go is say thank you for coming to AMC, and we would go.
Yeah, you're the people who came. We don't need to pitch you to keep coming.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe 400 people were all like gagged when this happened. Like we're all on the same page.
Everybody. The whole theater was like, oh, come on.
Because it was a Paul Thomas Anderson movie theater, so all of you go see movies. You're all movie people, right?
Yeah, dude, so just to jump quickly to the end of this, when I walked out, I walked through at least 5 discussions about character, using long lenses, all the conversations you want to stop. But I don't know these people. I'd just be a creeper. But like, I wanted to stop and talk to them because like,
it's just like
they're all my people. And this was a filmmaker's event. Like this was a film to go and see if you like films.
Like felt that way in Hollywood too, man. I was at I recommend everyone out there, the audience, and you guys look it up. The Regency Village Theater. It's in Westwood Village here, outside of. It's not near Hollywood. It's literally in Westwood. It's pretty sure it's across the street from the movie theater that Margot Robbie goes to see her movie in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So that old style, it's crossing that. Got a really cool facade. I'd never been in that theater before. It was really awesome. I might post a picture of it on the Instagram, but that was super cool seeing like a vintage style movie in a vintage movie theater. Pretty sweet.
So let's get into our conversation then. So Licorice Pizza is in limited release right now. I believe it comes nationwide, if I'm looking at this, in 2 weeks, somewhere around like the 13/17th of
Cinemas
December?
in New York have it this week.
Oh shit, it says December 25th.
And oh wow, okay, because Angelica's showing it all week.
So New York, LA.
3, technically. I think you have Brooklyn, 2 Manhattan, and 1 here in LA, which I thought was weird. There's only 1 in LA.
Yeah, there's a weird screening at like Brooklyn Center for Music or something next week over here as well.
Yeah, and of course this movie has already made $345,000 and it's playing in 4 theaters. And like this, I'm not saying it's going to be a huge commercial success because the city folk tend to be the ones that gravitate towards this kind of cinema. But Martin Scorsese, let's tell him, after a year of millions of fucking IP and franchise and Disney and superhero, cinema is back. We saw this on 70 millimeter format, which I hope some of you one of you two film people can explain to me what the fuck that means. But all right, let's get into this. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, listen to our initial takeaways and then come back after you've seen it in a month. This is Paul Thomas Anderson, written and directed by his first film since Phantom Thread. You may know him best from Boogie Nights or There Will Be Blood, along with Magnolia, Hard Eight, Punch Drunk Love, The Master, Inherent Vice, etc. This movie stars Alana Haim and Cooper Hoffman, who I thought were just obscure, that they went on a nationwide casting search for. I did not know until after this film that Cooper Hoffman is the son of the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman.
You sensed something though, didn't you? Like there was something about it.
Nothing about it surprising now.
Yeah.
But I know I almost feel bad for him that's going to be the conversation for this film, but this is his feature film debut. He's so green that he doesn't even have a fucking picture on IMDb. It's a blank box.
I mean, the best part of it is he stood on his own.
I didn't sit there going, geez, this better be someone's kid. You know what I mean? Like, I thought he was awesome. Yeah. I had no idea.
This better be somebody's kid.
Cooper Hoffman and then Alana Haim. You might know, Alana Haim. Haim is a pretty successful like indie group with her and I think it's her sisters. I knew somebody who went to arts high school in LA, and now that I've seen this movie, I want to ask her more about it. But she is the lead singer of a progressive rock group. She doesn't sing in this movie. We should sing in this. Paul Thomas Anderson did some of their music videos. What a connection. This is crazy. So Cooper Hoffman.
All fucking families in it. Her mom and dad play their parents.
And yes,
that's all of the Himes. They're Himes.
Oh, yeah.
and her dad's best line in the film, he improvised.
Oh, man. Excuse me? What the fuck? It's so funny, dude.
Amazing. All right. So that, and then you have some cameos from Sean Penn and Bradley Cooper, as well as Tom Waits and maybe some others. Yeah. So this is the story. So this is the story of Alana Kane. Makes me think that he had Alana Haim in mind when he named his character Alana Kane. And Gary Valentine, which does sound like a porn name from 1973. Story of Alana Kane and Gary Valentine growing up, running around, and going through the treacherous navigation of first love in the San Fernando Valley, 1973. Paul Thomas Anderson, I believe, was born in either 69 or 70. So this is very clearly something that he's been trying to do for a long time. Or at least it's a nostalgia piece for him, our writer and director. But he also seemed to have a sense of humor about it and have fun. Slice of lifey, so it's not like there's a plot to spoil outside of that. Who wants to take it away with our initial takeaways, John or Dave?
John can go first.
There you go.
I'll go first. All right, sure. Yeah, I mean, this is a film that, like Dave was saying earlier, I think this is we should probably say film because I think Paul Thomas Anderson would appreciate that. But if you are someone who likes a filmmaker's kind of style, like Paul Thomas Anderson, lots of characters weaving in and out, it almost could be categorized as like slice of life. Like there are rom-com elements. There is a day in the life elements. It revolves around a few different of these schemes, which kind of set up like several different tiny little plots. He's definitely pulling in the old, like the Robert Altman kind of influence that he's such a huge fan of. The guy who made Nashville and Shortcuts, and so playing with big ensembles. And the backdrop is the place that he grew up, which is Encino, like the Valley of Los Angeles. And so I don't know if you. This is probably the funniest, like on its face. I think Paul Thomas Anderson movies have a lot of humor in them, especially like Boogie Nights and stuff. But this is probably the funniest movie of his that I've seen, certainly in his recent career. I don't know if Inherent Vice was as laugh out loud as my crowd laughed a lot at this movie.
Same.
Inherent Vice is funny, but it's kind of a strange, weird humor. So I don't think a lot of people really cracked up out loud in the same way. So I guess that was a fun surprise. I'm always expecting some good amount of humor, but I would almost go as far to call this a comedy. This might be his rom-com. If Punch Drunk Love is a more quirky romance.
A reluctant rom-com.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. So I just enjoy his mind and his world. I wasn't expecting anything plot-wise, so I really had no idea what was going to happen. He usually does find a way to weave in some kind of drama that's like really intense, and he totally steered clear of that this time. I feel like he had a little bit more fun with this one, which was nice to see.
I feel like the drama was the setting. It was happening like gas crisis and all that stuff that was happening in the early 70s.
Yeah.
I was one when this action took place.
Nice, dude.
1 year old. So I was having my own like trouble with traveling.
You had a lot to mine on for your
shitting
reference.
your pants. You had this.
Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Dave?
Well, it's funny because years ago I went. I gave this what I like to call the castle treatment. I went on an absolute bender in Melbourne one weekend. I was away with some guys from pretty much the whole cast of the comedy club I worked at, and we got hammered for 2 days. And then we're like, what are we going to do for the last day? We can't get drunk again. And we went and saw the movie The Castle, which is an Australian film. I highly recommend if you want to see something quintessentially Australian that isn't Crocodile Dundee, because we're not like that. But I was drunk I was hungover as hell, and I'm sitting there and I'm half asleep. I'm dying for this 2-day bender, and I watched The Castle, and it was okay. And then I watched it again later when I wasn't hungover as hell, and it was brilliant. So I did the same thing. I went out on Saturday night, and I went on an absolute bender, and I came in hungover as hell, like a little bit, and walked into this theater, and immediately the vibe from the crowd, I was pumped.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then the movie started, and this really held for me, and it was great. It was fun. I have mixed feelings about it, which I guess I'm supposed to, because it's a complex piece of work. It jumped around a lot for me. Like there was, it had that like Harry Potter first movie. I don't know what the passage of time is here until she like makes the age joke later in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all in all, I went in I was like, this one's going to be work. And it wasn't. It was fun. and endearing, and the cast was great. I can't fault it. It's like, well, I can. I've got one or two things later, but it was fun.
I keep using the word charming. I feel like it was the most charming PTA movie I've seen, certainly in his recent stuff, probably since Punch Drunk. I think
it's funny because all of my favorite bits were the uncharming bits.
Yeah, sure. Well, like all right, I want to hear it later. I'll pry a little bit. Jeff, what do you think, dude?
I'm so surprised, Dave. First, I want to update a couple things. It's definitely Haim. I think I've said their last name differently every single time I've said it, but it's Haim. And okay. And there's some more. We
punish wrong names here.
Yeah, we do. We do punish wrong names. And there are some more cameos. Jared from Booksmart was in this, and he plays the other child star, the one where she's like, what does your penis look like?
Oh my God, dude. He was so funny. He was so good.
His name is Skylar Gisondo. Christina Ebersol, shout out. Mary Elizabeth Ellis, who you probably know from It's Always Sunny. John, what do they call her? Hot waitress?
The waitress.
Yeah, and then
just the waitress.
John Michael Higgins, who is in every comedy. He's in Yes Man, Pitch Perfect, etc. Best in Show. Okay, sorry. So awesome little
John
cameos.
C. Reilly.
Oh yeah,
John C. Reilly has a 2-second cameo as it's amazing. You'll have to look it up. You won't. I was gonna say you'll have to look it up. Except John just blew it.
I almost I almost thought Paul Rudd was doing a cameo as somebody that was like a stagehand or like a casting person, but it was too quick. I don't think it actually was. Okay, anyway, that's enough of my making up for lost time here. I actually did really, 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 really like this movie. I don't know if I loved it, but I really, really, really liked it. It's stunning. Obviously, the cinematography is great. Yep. And I feel like we've said the cinematography is great with about 20 films this year, but this is very different. This was old school cinema. This is the kind where it started and I was like, okay, it's a little shaky. It does kind of feel like a film, back in the day where it's almost like a little choppy by design, but I got used to it. And all of it's not just about camera movements. All of the movement, the staging, the action is really, really well either rehearsed or designed or coordinated. I thought that was really, really great because film for me, a lot of times is too still and you can tell when the actors are like, can't move and they can't touch things. Like this felt alive. And it felt like it had life to it, and I really, really appreciate that. You can tell there were definitely things in the trailer that didn't make the movie. So I wonder
when they do that all the time now.
But when they edit it down, like the Bradley Cooper didn't do that whole scene that's in the trailer, and then it just get cut for the movie just for the sake of the trailer. Unless maybe that is pretty weird and brilliant. But I do still feel like there are pieces of the story that I could have done more with. Because I'm willing
to bet there was a lot of Bradley Cooper that was like they had left over because he took that and ran with it.
It's totally fine. Just chop your way through all of those fun scenes. On the whole, though, I don't want to be negative because I did really, really, really like this. It was humorous. And most of that humor is just simply because of good tension. And it was layered tension. It wasn't just like joke, set up, what's going to happen? We respond this way, ha, 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 ha. Like a lot of it was like really layered and really, really interesting. And I really liked the film. I'm being abstract about it right now, but I liked it.
I know what you mean, though, about I think I feel in the same way. I really, really liked it, and I don't know if I loved it. And I don't even know if I mean that as a criticism.
Same.
I remember when I walked out of The Master, I remember saying the same thing, but in a different way because that movie was so challenging. And after a few more rewatches, it might be my favorite one of his. This was a different feeling, even though I'm using the same sentence. And I think for me, it's just, I'm just, as I get older, there's just no way around it. I'm just always wanting drama. So sometimes if I have any expectation of drama and it doesn't turn out that way, maybe I'm just going to always be looking for it. So I think as cool as it is that all of us and probably most people know nothing about this movie, I think if I had gone in expecting only comedy, I may have enjoyed it even more. I just thought he was going to turn the knife like he always does at some point.
Yeah.
Boogie Nights is a lot of fun until
it's
even
not.
There's a really intense, suicide that takes place. I'm not saying that's not part of the drama. That's really intense. But the tone of the movie until like one chunk is really dark when he's trying to prostitute himself in the parking lot and those guys beat the shit out of him. Yeah. And Heather Graham fucking kicks that guy with the
pretty much all of the 80s in that film.
it's darker, but only that section is like really like, oh my God. And I think that film needed that section because otherwise, I don't know. It just takes it on an even more interesting ride. So I guess all I'm saying is that I really, really enjoyed this movie. I think if I had known it was just not just with a lowercase j, but it's not a drama. It is something else. He was consciously trying to do this thing. I think I would have had even more fun. It really does remind me of Nashville in a lot of really excellent ways.
Very Altman.
I don't know if you guys feel that same way, but as soon as I kind of sat back and I was like, John, that's not this movie. Just enjoy. Just live with Paul Thomas Anderson for a while.
I mean,
had a great fucking
for
time.
me, this was like a meld of, I would say, American Graffiti, Forrest Gump, and The Wonder Years.
The Wonder Years.
Interesting.
Nice, dude. Wonder Years. I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean. And of course, I have a feeling, I haven't looked this up. It looked from the orbs, it looks like he shot this on his anamorphic lenses that he loves so much. Filmed it, for 70s. So I mean,
yeah, there were anamorphics
awesome.
in play.
Yeah,
they did scale this to 70. So
they scaled it up to 70.
Yeah.
Do you know what they shot on? Was it True 65?
It was Panaflex on 35.
35 scaled up. Okay. So that means that they filmed it on 35 millimeter film.
Panaflex camera. There was
it.
The actual film stock was Kodak Vision 2383.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which
it's
really good for neutral highlights and stuff. If you're looking for a comparison, Joker, Munich, Dark Knight, Thin Red Line,
and Licorice Pizza.
Wow, look at there's some. Even though I can see the similarities, you can see what those DPs were able to do with lighting because those movies all look very different in a very awesome way. Paul was credited with one of the directors of photography credit. He shares it with Mark Bauman, I believe.
Mark Bauman had never done a feature film. Michael Bauman had never done a feature film by this. He did a short. So him and Paul sharing duties together. Yeah. Isn't that
good for him?
But
that's
they did
awesome.
And I don't know why Paul has credit because every director holds the camera at some points. But so I'm curious as to know where that shared credit comes from.
He did it
the director
on
holds the camera when I'm
right?
tying his shoelaces. That's the only time the director holds.
I think he ended up taking the credit because he started doing it with Phantom Thread. Remember, I think that was the first time that he did it technically as the head. I don't know. I've heard him talk about that process many times, though. They basically all are him, First AC, and the operators, they're all on such the same page. They kind of work on that crap at the same time anyway. So he always says that like the fact that we have to credit each other is kind of silly. We're all doing it at the same time. And then whoever is operating that scene picks the camera up. But they all light it. They all do the same shit. They've all talked about it the same amount.
Well, that's good. That's
anyway.
A collaborative thing.
Well, so let's talk about, because this is kind of slice of life-ish. So another comparison I got is, of course, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which it's that was set 4 years earlier in basically the same part of LA. So obviously you're going to get the slice of life element where I guess that one has that one plot, which is the Manson stuff, but that's not the whole movie. No. And this one is a love story, friendship. Gary is a child actor. So Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, Ray, is a child actor. And then she is taking pictures for somebody who has bigger aspirations. And they sort of go into business together. I guess Gary's like an entrepreneur to give you some of the plot. And then she's kind of working for him. And it's actually a really interesting relationship. And so I think that was what I was happiest with for them. Yeah. How do you think? So obviously Paul's not going to let a bad acting moment land on his camera. Like this is a person who took the first week of There Will Be Blood and just threw it in the garbage can and said, let's start over again. So like clearly this is not somebody who after Hard 8, he was like, I'm never dealing with a fucking studio ever again. So so obviously the performances are great, but then again, they still transcended that a little bit. What did you think of our two actors? Since I know that there are some huge names. I remember saying Bradley Cooper and Sean Penn are filming Paul Thomas Anderson. Do not go to this movie to see them unless you really want some really... Their cameos were great. But
like they are phenomenal, but they don't outshine the leads.
Exactly. On the money.
They give Bradley Cooper gives a very prominent, energetic performance. Like his American
and
Sean
Hustle.
Penn gives a very almost tragic, sad performance. But he's absolutely compelling to watch. Gates. Yeah, it's
whatever.
Absolutely, he's absolutely compelling to watch.
That was really great.
You never suffer for it, and she to her credit sits back and lets him have this moment. Like she plays like the background role almost there while he's owning that scene. But then when it's their time to shine again, it's their time to shine again, and you're like, Sean who or Bradley who? It's back to them.
Yeah,
they have. I feel like he wrote. Finish. Go ahead.
No, I just love that they got absolute, like, Oscar-winning, high-profile, punch the fucking lights out of the camera. Sean Penn's case.
I mean, they did some chemistry reads for sure.
Yeah,
to get these two leads, right?
But they were amazing, but they didn't steal the show.
Leads?
No, I'm talking about the cameos. They didn't steal the show at all. The leads were phenomenal. They just held their own the whole way through.
When she asked Sean Penn, "I'm so sorry. What are we talking about?"
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
all he wants to do is talk about old movies. Like
you always knew because their friendship, but he clearly is interested in her, and she obviously likes something in him, but isn't giving much. So but you always know where they stand, even though you don't really know where they stand. You know, does that make sense? I know I'm being weird on purpose with the wording, but like
no. I mean,
every single time I felt like I understood where they were, but I also thought like, but I could be surprised. You know what I mean?
I found that sometimes she acted a little weird.
Probably by design. He was weird. What do you mean? He was a cocky asshole for half the movie.
I know, but like,
do you mean the character or the actor?
No, like her character at times was like, it kind of jumped around exactly how interested in him she was.
I love the punch-in scene of like her smoking pot in like the dugout or whatever with her friend, basically being like, I think it's weird that I hang out with Gary and his 15-year-old friends. She's like, I don't know, do you? She's like, yeah. And that's like the whole scene. And I was like, yes, that is so cool for these kinds of movies. I'm glad that they did that.
The other thing that's amazing, like the other conversation I walked through on the escalator out of Lincoln Center was someone complaining that it was weird that because when she first meets him is 15 and she's 25.
Is she actually? And I expected her to not be 25,
cool.
by the way. But.
It's not like she was adamant this was not cool, and I was like, well, hang on a minute, James Bond, 60 years old, 50 years old, nailing 25-year-olds left, right, and center, and that's perfectly acceptable. But if it suddenly goes the other way and it's not, it's like, no.
Careful.
And I love. Okay, yeah, fair. But like there was no relationship established till he was 18, obviously. But it was like, when it goes the other way, it's like suddenly not cool because the woman's older. And I feel like that was a great thing to put forward. Like they could have gone, no, we're not going to lean into that, but they really did.
Yeah, I mean, unapologetically, I think maybe once or twice I did think about that because, like you said earlier, I'm not quite sure how much time passed in this movie. So I guess he was 18 at some point, and it was
Yeah, there's this one throwaway joke in the truck that lets you know 3 years have passed.
He dropped out of high school. Did we ever get that, or was he homeschooled because he was a child actor?
I can't. And do these things
jumps
matter?
around a lot.
Maybe not. But the work what you guys are saying, I totally agree.
Should we send our spoiler people?
I
home?
would even say, let's go.
All right. We're gonna talk in depth.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but we keep saying all these things.
It's probably true. Spoilers. Right. Here we go. We're talking about actual things that happen in this movie, even though we've already joked about several of them.
Come back to us in a month.
I think he wrote there are moments of some very cheeky dialogue between our leads, and it still worked.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moments of not cheeky, and it's realistic, and it's just even maybe a little stylized for the era. But there are some very affected, stylized Paul Thomas Anderson coming-of-age love story lines that works. I wish Paul Thomas Anderson wrote a script for me, So, like, I'm not saying I'm taking any credit away from these two, but he wrote these characters.
Yeah, no more California, Paul. Paul, get out of California, all right? We're done with it.
I mean, I love it when he goes home.
He's like, I can't get a permit for anywhere else.
It was just so...
I got to shoot from home. It's like, dude.
Honestly, he was like...
I mean, Edgar Wright just did it. Come on, no one's bagging him out.
I was excited to see Paul
I'm buzzing you even though you're right.
Go back
get out
home.
Here.
I feel like he got jealous when Quentin fucking nailed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he was like, you're right, I should just go back home and make my movie. But yeah, everybody was the acting. Of course, the acting was superb, and I don't think we're giving it up for. I don't know who worked with him as a casting director, but all those kids were not significant in a lot of ways, but they were all fucking perfect. There's this one moment his brother has on the couch. His little brother. Yeah. What did he say? He just looks at him and he just like shakes his head or something. With tiny little moment
when the phone's ringing.
Yeah,
and he goes. He tells him to be quiet. He tells the kid to be quiet, and the kid's
just
like
nod.
Yeah,
he doesn't even like. There's not even a line.
And that kid from Jeff, that guy who's his acting competition, the kid from
Booksmart. And he's in he's in Vacation and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my God, he was so
nobody saw Vacation.
funny, dude.
When he goes, yeah, true. Ed Helms saw it. Get out of here.
Nah.
I buzz. You're trying to buzz yourself. Yeah. When when they're at the table, and he goes, "No, I'm an atheist," which is like, even though it's a little unrealistic. So here's why.
No, it's not. I've seen that go down.
Here's why this is a comedy, because you knew that dinner's not going to go well when you're at a fucking Jewish feast and you go, "Oh, I can't say the blessing. I'm an atheist." Like, you know that you'd probably dance around it in real life, but like a comedy would just take you there. So that's how you know that this was definitely a comedy.
Well, I mean, the funniest part as well is the father at that point is still improvising his dialogue.
He never gave him any
improvised.
dialogue.
He improvised
So
most
much.
of his dialogue. So, like,
Even when
again,
she walked up, his introduction, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
Whoa. He was just getting on her about where she's been. She was out with Lisa, and he was like, "Who's Lisa?" Whoa. Just the way he wrote her, it was just so funny. But yeah. When she walks in her bathing suit.
Yes.
God, that was funny.
Howling in the theater. But no, my favorite line out of her for the entire movie is after she goes off her nut at the entire family in the house, and she's like chasing her sister down the hallway, screaming at her about, you're this, you're that, everything else. Then she's out the front with the other sister smoking, and the other one's like, you really need to stop shouting at people. And she's like, "Fuck off!" and just storms off.
Just walks away. I mean, and it's moments like that where
it was
like
magic. It was a 2-second throwaway scene, but it was just magic.
And there's several of those. I mean, that was my cue. Again, like I said, I went in there thinking maybe it's going to have some other elements, but this is a filmmaker who likes to linger. And so as soon as he started giving all of those juicy little hilarious punch-ins, I very quickly learned, like, all right, that's not this kind of movie, dude. Just sit back and wait for those moments, because they're all solid gold. They're like less than 10 seconds. And a lot of those were my favorite parts of the movie. The relationship and how unorthodox it was. I'm always a huge fan of when people can tell this is a romance. There's coming of age elements, but it is mostly about their relationship. That's definitely the resolve of this movie. It builds to them finally wanting to actually try it out. So I'm always a huge fan of when people like walk around those, and I think he did a brilliant job. But if I'm being totally honest, it was all the life around their relationship that kind of went in and out of their story that was so funny. The sequences that just seemed nonsensical in their structure. How they got into the business. I didn't know I was watching his big aha moment when he stops in that window, and it's just a tracking shot of him through a window. You don't know it's about to move yet. You don't even know what he's looking at. And then he comes in and he looks at a waterbed, and you're like, is that where this movie's going?
Yeah,
it's a waterbed. Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck are we doing right now?
What the hell
is this
happening?
A dream sequence?
And then the soggy bottom thing happened, and I was like, oh. Now, guys, I got to ask you, in light of us being, this movie is not super PC on purpose.
Oh, God.
Fucking hilarious it was. Come on, you know what I'm about to say.
Yeah,
did you guys laugh at John Michael Higgins when he would do the Japanese?
I did, but I wish.
Did your audience laugh, or were they like,
oh? Kind of both. It was both.
It was both. There were some people laughing. People around me like, oh.
Well, you know what it was?
It was like
a people who wanted to laugh that were trying to
censor
censor themselves from laughing, even though they wanted to laugh. Yeah.
Any other actor could have pulled that off.
What'd she say? I don't know. I don't speak Japanese.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else could have got away with that.
I know. I wonder if Paul. So here's what I think. Here's what I think about Paul, and here's the secret sauce. Now I know Paul is his own filmmaker. Paul Thomas Anderson is married to one of the funniest people on the entire planet. Maya Rudolph is true comedy.
Another
royalty.
good punch in. That little scene was great.
She was amazing. She was amazing. She had a cameo in Inherent Vice. And
she comes in every now
and then.
She barely said a word and telegraphed that his career was over.
Just looks, dude. Just looks.
So funny.
So
yeah, she was so great. I actually thought that's what this movie was going to be a little bit more about, was that he was basically going to get her into acting, and then she was going to get in with Bradley Cooper. And I guess I'm glad that it didn't go that
kind of a Star is Born kind of thing.
She kept nudging in that direction, and then when it wasn't convenient for the story, they left it. That's the only negative thing that I heard from people where they're like, "What happened to their acting careers? They didn't even say anything. Like they just stopped."
That's the LA thing, though, right? I guess, like, honestly,
totally.
Us not growing up here, I don't have a taste for it. I know I'm living here, but like that does seem to be like that's a thing that a lot of people do here. They just like, I'll try acting. And
it's a fine line between child star and mattress salesman.
Yeah. Get out of here. So,
how good is that he had?
It is funny
have you guys
that
put this
a
together?
15-year-old entrepreneur. It's for real.
Have you guys put this together yet? That the movie I keep talking about, Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah.
What does Philip Seymour Hoffman do for a living?
He sells mattresses. Nice.
He sells fucking mattresses,
That-
dude. How hilarious is that? That he
the
wrote a role for his
That's
son
pretty funny.
to get it.
that he sells water baths. The commercial, guys, just please Google if you don't know what we're talking about.
Oh my God,
Philip
dude.
Seymour Hoffman's character films a local TV spot for his mattress store, and he tries to jump off the roof of his building onto a mattress. And it's so, you have to look it up. It's one of the funniest fucking videos, and it's Philip Seymour Hoffman, and it's as good as the fall in Along Came Polly, where he goes, "The best man is in the." It's as good as that.
Okay,
if not
that
better.
is one of the best stage falls ever.
Ever. Okay, back here. So we're talking about the PC thing here with John Michael Higgins. Paul is married to one of the funniest people on the planet, who is also a progressive lady, Maya Rudolph. So I kind of want to believe that if it's, I don't want to put her on, I don't want to put her by association or anything, but I do feel like he tests these things. I do think he doesn't just go out there and say, I'm just going to do this. So I do wonder. I believe he has a plan, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, at worst,
Yeah,
this
I
is
think
an
so, too.
outdated themes warning. At worst.
This is the 70s. So
Yeah.
by all means, we saw fucking 1941, which takes place in the 70s. And we know
my
that
God.
and especially since there's the Vietnam elements, and
Wash
then
my
we're just at
fucking
World War
eyes.
II in Korea, which is what Sean Penn's character is talking about. But that doesn't mean it can be
Sorry. Yep.
that doesn't mean it can be exploited.
Jesus Christ.
That doesn't mean that it can be exploited for humor. But I think he did a pretty good job of showing the characters' reactions, knowing they're like, what the fuck, man, this whole world. I hope it was enough. I know some people are going to be bummed by those jokes, but I like to believe that Paul and his associations got our back, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's salvaged by the fact that like there is obviously an Asian woman sitting next to him and he's doing this, and then she up and fucking leaves him.
Yes.
And so like it's
This is
like
the new life.
yeah, there's a certain judge factor in there. So like I feel like that salvages it a little bit. And it was the 70s. It sucks, but that's the 70s.
70s were really white. They're pretty racist. Yeah.
Tell me if you guys agree with this. Was this movie kind of a metaphorically like going to like an old school like carnival or a fair or something? Like it kind of it's like cotton candy of like film, just going back into a period of time, the way it was shot. Like it's just so shamelessly just trying to entertain you with really fun.
Dude, I was
old
sitting
school
there-
techniques and production
I was sitting
design.
there. Yeah, I was sitting there in the first, like, we're heading up to it, and I'm like, please don't do the color thing. Please don't do the color thing. And they didn't. Like, it was a little, like, 70s tinted. Like, they do that weird orangey aqua thing. And, but, like, yeah, it was.
And Live and Let Die. Is that what you're talking about? Like that
But
shit?
they didn't lean right into it. Like, they didn't, like, crunch it and try to make it look like 70s film. It was.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
By
I'm
the way,
really glad.
I accidentally just said that movie, but wasn't that on the marquee when they run into each other when they're running and she slips
Yes.
and they both fall? And I
Yes,
think
it
Live and
was.
Let Die was showing at that one.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you're totally right, though. They did not crunch it up and mess with those color schemes. I thought they did a good job by doing that and by shooting on anamorphic, too. I think it really brought out the haze in the air, the pollution, probably, which it looked very, very
then
the valley.
they had to
like,
digitally remove some of it because it's fucking worse today. But
it is, it's rough.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not
Again,
great.
actually, while
we need things. It's always Dave.
while
Dave's
we're-
the other one getting buzzed here.
While we're talking about Live and Let Die, let's talk about the soundtrack because this had more than one song.
Oh, the sound. I mean,
had a-
okay. So Johnny
had a
Greenwood
few
did this.
songs.
Johnny Greenwood did the score, but because Boogie Nights' songs were more familiar, this soundtrack is perfect. I thought everything was right on the nose, and I thought the sound mix was great. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I had never heard a lot of these. I know for Boogie Nights, he was really strict about as time passed, every month and certainly every year and decade, they were only using songs that took place in the top 40 charts from that period of time. So I'm curious. I haven't looked it up. I bet he did something similar with this, but I had never heard any of these songs before. I don't think I had heard any.
Yeah,
of them.
I have
Which ones?
half of them.
Oh, good, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I got the Spotify
Yeah,
playlist going.
they
It's a good
charted. They
soundtrack.
charted in Australia. We have those.
I really dug it, man. I thought there were some fun ones.
They were charting in Australia when I was 6, but yeah.
I heard the Bowie song before because that was I think
yeah.
that was on,
that
was
was
on
on
Ziggy
Mars,
Stardust.
Well, yeah, there's
But
two
honestly,
two
that was
TV
the only
series,
one.
so.
That was the only one that I'm not.
the Wing
I'm not
song,
gonna
I'd heard the Wing
criticize
song
Paul
because
Thomas
my
Anderson,
dad
but
listened to McCartney a lot, so I heard that Wing song, but it was not one of the famous Wing songs.
it was not one of the bigger ones. I think Life on Mars may have been a little too for me, just because all the other ones were not quite as famous. That's one of his most famous songs. So I thought it popped a little too brightly for me, to be honest. They also didn't use very much of it. So I was just curious if they considered if maybe there was another song there at some point.
It was a running song.
The trailer was so successful. And it had Life on Mars in the background. Then I wonder if they were like, throw it back in.
What did Johnny Greenwood score? Was there a score?
There were a lot of scenes in the beginning.
He's credited as the composer. I was like,
his music.
There's a couple of little incidental bits, yeah.
So film title explained really quick for people. Licorice Pizza is not a pizza store.
No.
It was a record chain that was only available in Southern California in the 70s and 80s. So it's basically just pure nostalgia. And it's also a place where people probably hung out.
Actually, founded in 69 and lasted until 86 when Musicland bought it, and it was rebranded as Sam Goody.
Shut the fuck up. Really? Sam Goody? Wow.
Sam Goody. I had a Sam Goody.
And
Guys, how about this?
They actually had a really bad reputation because, like, apparently the rumor was that they used to buy.
Why they changed the name?
Yeah, the rumor was they used to buy like stolen tapes and records from like Kmart and stuff.
Wow.
So there are so many. Yeah, that is a huge issue. And we don't know any certified sales pre 1990.
Guys, you know what? You know what this movie also did for me, and I'm curious if it did it for you. It's something that I have completely forgotten about because these don't exist anymore. The drama of a telephone.
Oh my God, that was so tense.
That exists.
Oh, the tension.
Oh, it was so good. It was so much fun.
So
the weight of the phone, you could feel it. The silence, the way it sounded. God.
When he picked up the phone and the camera started to pull out, and I knew his brother was in the room, I was waiting for his brother to pick up another phone.
And just listen, of course. Yeah, the classic. But you guys, honestly, let me dive in for just a second. I remember, I don't know if we all remember this because we probably had more than one telephone in the house, but her having to talk with everyone in the background created that voyeurism. It also just made me realize that because we're adapting as filmmakers with technology, figuring all these new ways to show texting and stuff like that. But there was something really refreshing about them. These actors, they had to do something. They had to go to a telephone dial, and then they had to say something. They had to stumble and try to make it work. There's so much of the newer technology stuff. I think we've lost a little bit of that just because everything is kind of internalized now. An entire conversation can happen with just somebody texting off out of frame, and then you get these pop-ups and your plot has moved forward. This was really refreshing. There were two pretty good phone sequences that I really enjoyed, the obvious one. But there was another moment too where she was on the phone with somebody at the
Sound Sexier
campaign office.
Sound Sexier?
Oh, God. Oh, the campaign office?
The campaign office was good. The Sound Sexier, Sound Sexier when she did that whole thing was funny and he was listening in.
Yes,
the campaign office one was good. And that was real tension too because the guy was outside and of course I'm sitting there thinking he's going to shoot this place up. So I thought there was good tension.
We've seen Taxi Driver. So.
Exactly.
Right? They knew what they were doing, right? Everybody was thinking, this is Travis Bickle, right? Something is fucking happening.
He did it.
Do you think he was just an undercover reporter and he was just going to take pictures of him kissing that guy? Like,
he was a reporter.
That's all it was?
I think that's what it was. Okay. But so they did a good job in this film of you knew when a character was gone. You knew when you were not going to see a character again. All of them. I mean, even the Bradley Cooper one, which was a funny way of getting him back, but you knew he was probably gone, and that was the most.
No. I would push back against that with Bradley Cooper because you thought he was gone, and he kept fucking turning up.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, touche. They
could have gone.
Touche on him.
I kind of wish he had popped up one more time. Like
Me too.
He got funnier and funnier when he walks off screen. And the girls walk past, and he just
and he's like, "Who's the server? Who's the server? Yeah, who's the better server?"
Oh yeah, the dialogue. They mixed that up. I'm so glad they mixed up that so that we could show
he was ad-libbing.
Did you read the thing about how when he
was
actually,
so sweaty too.
He's actually friends with that guy when he was writing him in, and he's like, "You can write me like this if you include my favorite pickup line."
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So
I have his name right here.
Do you like peanut butter sandwiches? Apparently, is his favorite pickup line.
Do you like peanut butter sandwiches? That's good.
What a good pickup line,
right?
Oh my God,
so
it's got to work every time.
There's so much.
I have Leonardo DiCaprio is up apparently for Bradley Cooper's role. I think it was offered to him initially.
Yeah.
This is
Leo's never going to fucking work with them. He's never going to work with them.
It's and then what is that guy's name? Barbra Streisand's boyfriend at that period.
John Peters?
Peters, thank you. Yeah,
Peters, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, is that based on a real character?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Fun.
dude.
Yeah, he's a friend of Anderson's.
That's so funny. Dude.
Hilarious. Hilarious.
So funny.
Yeah, I could use one more, but it's okay. It's okay.
Like,
Leaving
that was a real
more.
story. The condition of including him in that context, because apparently, like the whole, because he like the character of Gary did turn up to deliver the waterbed. That scene, that whole thing actually happened, but it was a much nicer scene.
Oh, that's so funny.
He
Didn't it give you guys like that was my first Bradley Cooper was Wedding Crashers when he was angry and about to kill somebody all the time. It was just I was getting such good vibes. I was like, oh, he's aged so well.
And then when he went back into supporting roles like American Hustle, this is very similar to that, also because of the hair. But when he kind of when he's a little chippier,
he's super talented.
What about
he nailed that?
What about the motorcycle? What about the motorcycle jump that I didn't believe was actually happening? That Tom Waits' character set up.
I'm like, what the fuck?
And then he ditches her.
Yeah.
He ditches her in the mud, and then the jump.
That's based around apparently an old Evel Knievel story.
Where somebody just at a restaurant said, we're going to the 8th green.
No, Evel Knievel like set up a jump in a car park somewhere and like was so fucking drunk he smashed his bike into a car and couldn't make the jump.
I was kind of hoping it was I was kind of hoping it was McQueen. Help me out.
Right? Yeah, Steve McQueen.
I kind of was hoping it might have been him.
Racer,
Great Escape
but
thing.
I know what you're saying, David. And I'm not disagreeing with it. What you said about how the stars did not get outshined, but my God, Sean Penn was so excellent. He had one scene, and he just absolutely
it was great.
Killed it, dude.
But again,
I love how they cut.
like,
they started, all of a sudden, he's talking about Korea. Like I don't know when that happened. But
she was like, "Are you
definitely Bridge over River Kwai?"
But also the leads had enough
sense.
That they had enough sense to step back and let him have that moment.
Yeah.
As well. So that was like, it was a great collaboration all around. Like he got his moment to shine and I couldn't stop watching him. He was amazing.
So this is another one of those. This is another one of those situations where we came in, we were like, I don't know about this, I don't know about that. And the more we talk about this fucking movie, the more excited we get by all the little things in this. This happens to us on the
everyone in
that's
our
Paul,
audience,
dude, and that's Paul.
Well, I mean, me and Jeff were in the same audience, sitting like about 15 rows apart.
I had no idea. You didn't respond to me until afterwards, and I darted.
And we our audience had a ball.
Our audience was laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Jeff.
There were only a few times where they were the what does your dick look like? What does your penis look like? Line. Your penis? Are you circumcised? Yeah. Then you're a fucking yeah. So like that, the audience was laughing hysterically for something. My favorite was the one where she was like, "Oh, you all saying Alana this crazy Alana," and then one of her sisters, you could see on her face that that's exactly what she was thinking.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? That was like one of my favorite moments of the show. She's like, "See, it wasn't anything." She's like, "Well," oh my God, Paul, like his action, his humor, it's so great. This is a guy that almost produced Anchorman. Like this is humor, and even though it's not laugh out loud, ha ha humor, it's
God, could you imagine Anchorman?
When she,
who's going to produce it?
He passed. He says it too. He says, "I'm the asshole who passed."
But also, he wouldn't have changed anything. He would have said, "Yeah, do that. I'll make it happen." Where do you want? Like, he wouldn't have changed.
I know. It's also good. She's just so the fact that he knows, dialogue can be funny. Clearly, these actors made a lot of really great jokes. I think we've praised a lot of those things too. But when she finds him making out, she's in the bathing suit, and when she finds him making out with that girl, she looks through the bathroom, and she just like tracks and walks, and she just grabs that dude and like rubs up on him and like starts kissing him and then just throws him away, and she just keeps tracking. It was just so cinematic, dude. It was so funny and cinematic, which is you don't see that a lot.
That was a disaster in motion right there.
Other than Edgar Wright, I feel like there are not many really excellent comedic directors who are also very cinematic. I feel like a lot of our contemporary comedy directors I wouldn't call them cinematic because it revolves a lot around these really hilarious actors we all love doing a lot of improv. They get a good coverage and then they just cut it to make something really funny. But I feel like whenever I had the same vibes in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, whenever these guys choose to lean into their comedy, it's still really fulfilling for a moviegoer. Like if you really want the cinema, there was just so much to look at in every frame. There was so much detail. I don't know. It was so refreshing. But Jeff, you're right, dude. I'm going to echo what you're just saying. The more we're talking about it, I think I might love this movie now that we're talking about it, because I felt the same way.
I mean, it was
I
pretty
was
good.
like, I think I just liked it, but we're having a lot of fun deconstructing it. I think I'm going to love it more and more, just like all of his movies. I probably need to give it 1 or 2 more watches, and then it'll be right up there with the rest of them.
Remember when Steven Spielberg tried to do a comedy?
Yeah, we do.
Steven Spielberg, this is for you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was going for it.
All right, people, it's been 50 minutes.
Actually,
so
I have to defend Steven Spielberg a little bit because
the West Side Story looks so good.
No, I recently started watching Animaniacs on Hulu.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, it's so fucking meta. Everybody watch Animaniacs.
The new,
it is amazing.
The old ones or
the new ones?
Like a reboot.
It's a reboot, and the opening song is all about it. You should see our new contracts. Like it's.
Oh my god.
Yeah, seriously, give it a watch. I've skipped ahead to what
I also watched that.
Yeah,
Jeff, I think you turned me on to that.
Wait, what the fuck? We're not at that segment yet.
every frame a painting on the YouTube, that channel, that filmmaking channel. It's really good. A lot of video essays. And Jeff, I think you sent it to me one time. The Spielberg Oneer.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good. Yeah, he can
cool.
still pull off a nice long oneer, and nobody knows it because he's not too shiny about it the way a lot of people can be.
Yeah, Paul had a lot of oneers in these, but with the exception of the opening one.
That opening one was awesome.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, I think I may have missed the first second or two because I was trying to slide into a very crowded movie theater aisle. It was just them in the movie theater, right? And I mean, in the bathroom, and then the cherry bomb. That was the first scene, right?
That was the first scene, yeah.
That was the first scene.
Okay.
Then it goes into the giant one. Yeah.
And then it goes into the one.
What an opening. Dude. Yeah.
What an opening, dude.
All right.
So
well,
funny.
That's Licorice Pizza. Hopefully it's coming to a theater near you. You can go ahead and look it up online to see when it's going to come to a theater near you if you are not anywhere near New York City or Los Angeles.
Go and watch it because like not only will you have fun with the film, you'll have fun with the audience.
I think so too. And it's coming out around Christmas, so make your plans accordingly. All right, people, let's get into our final segment for today, which is what you've been watching. This was Thanksgiving week, so hopefully you got to pop something in for pleasure. That didn't sound right. Did not sound right.
That's coming up.
Hey-o.
Dave, we usually kick it off with you. What did you watch? Anything?
I've got back to Star Trek Discovery.
Right.
We're back with season 4.
Nice, dude.
I can't believe they made 4 seasons of this.
Fuck off. There is drama. It's like it opens hard. It's getting really, really good.
All right.
It opens hard.
I like the first season. It's cool.
Yeah,
John?
I didn't. No, the first season was a fucking travesty, dude. Like they fucked up on Klingons. Like it was. Go me started.
Okay. Deal.
I watched. I took one of my co-hosts' advice and checked out King Richard, and I enjoyed it. And then I watched like 30 minutes of the Williams sisters highlights on YouTube afterwards.
Nice.
I was just watching them fucking destroy human beings in tennis for like decades. I don't think I realized that they had been around for like most of our lives. Like most of our lives, Jeff, they were at the top. It's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, I was going to say, please clarify whose lives.
Yeah, you're right. Not your life, Dave. You were one.
Dude,
as you told us
I remember McEnroe.
Oh yeah.
Who's in the movie?
What'd you think of Will?
He's in a lot of movies now.
I thought Will was really good. I think he's. Yeah, I mean, I think it has a tone of a very shameless feel good movie for most of it. So I think some of his work isn't like undercut by that. But I think if it had been any edgier, it wouldn't have landed in terms of like the overall picture. I think his performance might not get the acclaim it probably deserves because it's in a feel good movie. I think that happens sometimes.
Did his dog live this time?
I watched I Am Legend like a few months ago too. That's so good.
It's not cool, man.
Totally worth watching though. It's on HBO Max. If you want to enjoy yourself,
for a limited time, you got to do it. You have to watch soon because it's going to get taken off.
Had a few tears come out of my eyes.
At least the PG version's going to get put on.
I rewatched Dune. Finally took my girlfriend back to the movie theater and like saw that because she hadn't seen it yet. And I think I'm going to be a big fan of that movie the more I watch it.
Yeah.
And I also watched.
I don't know if you saw. I posted on the Facebook group this week. It's coming back to IMAX for a limited engagement as well.
Shit, I should go see it one more time because I still haven't seen it in one of the bigger formats.
IMAX rocks,
and then I watched,
man.
John, you can't keep watching all these movies and then say you can't watch movies next week, all right? Like, what's going on?
This was a break, dude. This was my only break. It was weird being on break. Anyway, the last one I watched... We should
have planned ahead.
The last one I watched was... F. Gary Gray. I watched his director's cut of Straight Outta Compton, and it was fucking awesome, dude.
See, this is great.
Like 3 hours long.
Usually I have a list like this, and everyone's
awesome,
like, just finish your list and move on. Come on. No, it's
Like,
good to
Dave,
see John
stop.
doing it.
Just shut up, John.
They gave John a break from school, and John watched a few movies. Still not a movie every night. That's better than normal, you guys. I used to watch
Good for
one
you.
every night. Jeff,
Proud of you.
Jeff.
All right. I also had a break, so I watched Tick Tick Boom on Netflix. Thought it was great.
Oh, fuck yeah. I need
It
to
was
see
great. It was kind of indie-esque. I'm glad they didn't try to scale it up. I'm glad they kept it pretty grounded in like indie New York filmmaking. I think. I mean, it's Lynn, so it's not like real gritty, edgy, but there's some really good shit in there. And I think Andrew Garfield's great. And then I watched a good chunk of the Beatles Get Back. I watched probably half of it, but
Jeff.
that's like we're talking 4 hours. So
Dude, I tried to watch some of that too.
Dude.
And I'm gonna be real. You know me. I'm not like I like the Beatles. I'm not a crazy Beatles fan. I didn't realize this was just footage of them talking to each other in a musical. It's literally just uncut on just them just sitting there.
You get to see how the sausage is made. I still haven't seen the end of the song Get Back. I've seen like 2 hours of them write the song Get Back.
You can't back that out because that's our entire fucking podcast.
Yeah, that is our whole podcast.
Just chit chat. I mean, honestly, I kept being like, all right, there's a narrative arc coming at some point.
Narrative arcs, man. This is raw, dude.
I went and got bread today.
Well, it is because people start leaving the band. People start talking about Yoko being there too much. Like, it starts to happen, but yeah, it takes time. This is them uncut, raw. This is just them showing up to try to write an album.
Uncut is right. 4 hours and you're halfway through. Fuck me.
This is an actual documentary, folks. There is no editing.
Peter Jackson cut 150 hours down to 8, and he said if he cut any more down, he felt like he would be doing rock and roll injustice. So he let it go raw. I think it's fascinating. I mean, John doesn't talk. I thought John was the egotistical like asshole at the beginning, but it's Paul. Paul is totally an egotistical person. And then he admits later, he was like, I think nobody cares. I think I'm the only one who cares. And then George and Ringo try to leave the band because they don't have any say. I think it's fascinating, but it is a slow burn, people. It is a slow burn.
It really is. Whatever.
All right. So we'll see what we do next week. I can't wait to talk to people. Go see Licorice Pizza. That's it. Woo! See you next time, film fans.